They called it a Ronson, a lighter that sparked every time it was hit. But they were wrong, dead wrong. Because buried deep inside that cast steel hull, beneath the ammunition racks and the rumbling radial engine, was a secret that no Panzer commander could see, no Luftwaffe reconnaissance photo could reveal, and no German intelligence report could explain. It was the true reason the Allies would roll into Berlin while the world's most feared armored divisions disintegrated into chaos. And it all came down to a metal box, no larger than a suitcase, vibrating at a frequency the enemy never learned to hear. The year is 1942. North Africa. The vast, featureless desert stretches to every horizon, a tactical nightmare where armor engagements happened by pure chance. German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, commanded the battle space with legendary 88mm guns, tearing through British armor at distances exceeding 1,000 meters. The Afrika Korps moved with what the world called unmatched tactical genius. They struck from the flanks. They vanished into heat haze. They appeared where no one expected. But what looked like genius was actually a fatal flaw hiding in plain sight. Every German tank commander lived inside a prison of noise. To understand what happened next, you must step inside a Panzer Mark IV in combat. The radio operator hunched over his Fugue 5 radio set, twisting dials on an AM receiver. Amplitude modulation and the same basic technology that powered home broadcast stations. Inside that sweltering steel box, the crew heard not orders, but a symphony of destruction. Atmospheric crackle, engine interference, the deafening screech of desert static that buried voices in an electronic grave. Most devastating of all, whenever lightning flashed anywhere on the African continent, the German radio net dissolved into complete, unintelligible chaos. The Desert Fox was deaf, and he didn't know it. Meanwhile, 2,500 miles away in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, a team of engineers at the Signal Corps laboratories had cracked a physics problem that would alter the course of human conflict. In 1940, they filed patents for a radically new system designated SCR 508. Signal Corps Radio, Model 508. It wasn't just another radio. It was a declaration of technological war. This unit operated on frequency modulation FM, discovered and championed by the brilliant Major Edwin Howard Armstrong, a man whose name should be carved alongside Patton and Eisenhower. While AM transmitted sound by varying wave, amplitude, making it a lightning rod for every natural and man-made electrical discharge. FM locked information into frequency variation. Static lightning engine noise? They simply didn't exist in the FM universe. It was like switching from listening to a damaged gramophone record to having someone whisper directly into your ear in a soundproof room. But the SCR 508 had a second, deadlier secret: crystal control. Inside that metal chassis sat a precision ground, quartz crystal that oscillated at an exact, unchangeable frequency. Here's what that meant on the battlefield. A German radio operator had to manually tune his receiver, hunting through a jungle of static to find a voice that faded in and out like a ghost. An American tank commander pushed a button. Instantly, every single Sherman equipped with the SCR 508, as many as 40, 50, 100 tanks snapped to the exact same crystal clear channel as if controlled by a single mind. 10 preset channels, 25 watts of transmission power, all locked with the precision of a Swiss timepiece. There was no tuning. There was no searching. There was only the voice of command. August 1942, somewhere in the Egyptian desert, a lone M4 Sherman crests a dune. Its commander, a 22-year-old lieutenant from Ohio, spots the dust plumes of a German armored column moving in formation. 12 miles away, a force triple his size. His hand reaches for the SCR 508 microphone. The words he speaks next will not be heard in Berlin, will not appear in German after-action reports, but will kill every tank in that column within the hour. Flash force, multiple bandits, grid coordinates, that transmission, riding on pure FM waves, untouched by desert static, hits every American tank, every artillery fire direction center, every tactical air control party simultaneously. No German commander in history had ever possessed this power. The Americans had stumbled upon something chilling. The SCR-508 wasn't merely a communication device. It was a central nervous system, and the Shermans it linked together had become a single, distributed war machine with 100 eyes. Watch what happened next in a typical engagement. A Sherman platoon encounters concealed German anti-tank guns. Before the SCR-508, that encounter meant destruction. The lead tank would burst into flames. The second would desperately try to identify the threat. The third would reverse blind, and the entire unit would dissolve into individual survival instincts. But now, the lead tank commander's voice cuts through the ether. At guns, 2 o'clock, 800 yards. Behind the stone wall, every single tank crew in the network hears it instantly. The gunners are already traversing their turrets. Tank destroyers at the rear, listening on the same channel, have already plotted a flanking route. And the forward observer, embedded with the infantry, also equipped with an SCR-508, is already reading out grid coordinates to a battery of 105mm howitzers 7 miles away. 30 seconds after the initial contact, the German position ceases to exist. The Germans were fighting with an organizational structure from 19 to 18. The Panzer division operated on command and control principles that required a commanding officer to physically see the battlefield to make a decision. When a German company commander wanted to shift his attack axis, he had to maneuver his own tank to a vantage point and assess with binoculars, then relay orders through a radio net so saturated with static that messages often had to be repeated 3 or sometimes 4 times. Operational tempo, or the speed at which an army makes and executes decisions, was measured. In tens of minutes, inside the American armored force, that tempo collapsed to seconds. A battalion commander, in his Sherman listening to the SCR-508 network, could literally hear the battle. He could hear the pitch of his tank commanders' voices and the strain of contact, and the calm of success. He could issue a flanking order to a company he could not even see and know with absolute faith they received it clear as a bell. The comparison is almost too painful to document. The Waffen-SS Tiger tank ace Michael Whitman at Villers Bocage in June 1944 destroyed an entire British armored column in 15 minutes. Military historians have agonized over this engagement for decades, but the radio analysis reveals a hidden truth. The British tanks, using outdated radios, could not coordinate a defense. One by one, they were hit without ever knowing where the fire was coming from, while their commanders were screaming into microphones that delivered only static to their comrades. Now reverse the lens. During Operation Cobra, the American breakout from Normandy in late July 1944, Shermans advanced so fast and so coordinated that German defenses facing them reported fighting an enemy that seemed to know their positions before they themselves had even fully occupied them. It was not intelligence. It was the SCR-508, a single scout car. Spotting a German 88 could have the gun destroyed by massed Sherman fire before the German crew had even fully camouflaged their position. But the deadliest application of this crystal-controlled FM network is something the history books have almost completely overlooked. In 1944, the Americans began equipping forward artillery observers with a compact version of the system. These men, riding in the turrets of lead Shermans or hidden in church steeples, did not fire a single shot themselves. They just talked. Their voices, carried on the inviolable FM wave, bypassed all intermediate headquarters and went directly into the fire direction centers. In German doctrine, calling for artillery was a bureaucratic nightmare requiring authentication in grid plotting and relay through multiple command layers. Time from spotting to impact was 40 minutes minimum. The American observer with an SCR-508 spoke directly to the guns. Time from spot to impact was 3 minutes. Can you see it now? The German company commander, proud in his Tiger tank, has never seen an enemy, but the sky is suddenly torn apart by a time-on-target artillery barrage, where every gun in an entire American battalion fires on a mathematically calculated trajectory, so that every single shell lands on his position at the exact same microsecond. His radio is full of static. His last words are lost in the screaming of torn metal. The invisible network has killed him without ever coming into visual range. The sheer manufacturing scale is staggering to consider. By 1944, the American electronics industry had produced over 40,000 SCR-508 units. Galvin Manufacturing Corporation, which is a company that would later change its name to Motorola, worked alongside Crossley and other industrial giants. The same production genius that flooded the world with Sherman tanks now flooded the electromagnetic spectrum with invisible threads of control. Meanwhile, German tank radio production languished. The Fuji-5 and Fuji-7 systems remained fundamentally unchanged AM sets. The Germans had known about FM, and they had experimented with it. But the Nazi regime's chaotic procurement system and its obsession with ballistic weaponry over electronic warfare and its fundamental underestimation of communication as a weapon of war left the Wehrmacht blind and deaf. They bet on steel. The Americans bet on silicon and copper and quartz. Here is a single devastating fact from the United States Army's own official history. From the Green Book series of the European Theater of Operations, during the rapid exploitation across France, armored columns that lost contact with their parent headquarters due to distance and terrain never lost contact with each other. The SCR-508 battalion net remained a tight humming web of shared awareness. Commanders simply transferred battalion control to the lead combat command on the fly based on who had the best tactical picture. A colonel could effectively lead a regiment-sized task force from the turret of the lead. Sherman, because his voice had command presence across an 80-square-mile area. Try to imagine a German Oberst doing that. He would have to stop and erect a ground-mounted antenna and pray there was no thunderstorm. But the crown jewel of this system, and the almost spiritual advantage it conferred, was the intercom. We have been discussing tank-to-tank communication, but inside the Sherman itself, the SCR-508 powered an internal intercom system with throat, microphones, and headsets. Inside a German Panzer, the commander communicated with his gunner by kicking him on the left shoulder for left turn and right shoulder for right turn. Kicks. Physical kicks in a machine, traveling at 20 miles per hour while firing a high-velocity cannon. The American tank commander spoke. His gunner heard every syllable. The loader knew the next round to prepare before the spent casing hit the turret floor. The driver was already executing the commander's terrain commands, while the German crew was a collection of individuals physically beating each other to coordinate action. The American crew was a single organism with 5 brains, linked by silicon and wire. When the shooting started, the German crew fought in a fog of deafening noise. The American crew fought in a clear, quiet space of pure voice, executing a complex choreography of death. This is the invisible network of victory. It left no craters. It has no monument on the National Mall. The SCR-508 is an unremarkable stack of tubes and wires gathering dust in a few scattered museums. But its legacy is absolute. It fundamentally rewired what an army was. Before 1942, an army was a collection of independently brave men fighting parallel fights. After the SCR-508 saturated, the American Armored Force and Army became a single cohesive intelligence and a distributed consciousness, spanning the entire front line, capable of learning and reacting and killing at the speed of light. The German tank aces could destroy 10 or even 20 Shermans apiece. It never mattered, because for every burning, M420 more perfectly informed and perfectly coordinated and utterly silent in their electronic communion were already pivoting to the kill shot. The Wehrmacht wasn't just outfought, it was outthought and outheard and outconnected by a box that weighed 80 pounds. The war was won on the backs of brave men, but it was orchestrated by a signal that never died.